Everybody, this is Nahaz, and men lie, women lie, but stats don't lie at TI. Here with my good friend Knoxville, and we're going to be giving you our TI6 Compendium predictions. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? It's been a long time, long journey. We actually filmed this already a couple of days ago, but
Whoops.
Yeah, it turned out to be like a 1 kilobyte file, and we're doing it again.
There you go. But you get to see the wonderful Seattle skyline in the background. So, disclaimers first.
Yep.
So, obviously, we don't know the groups yet. We're going to find that out early tomorrow morning. You guys hopefully will know very soon after we do. But some of these projections might be impacted by the way the groups get drawn out. Most important thing, as is typical for these videos, we're going to talk a lot about how we made the predictions so that if you are interested in Dota 2 and in Dota 2 stats, you can think about the predictions and have some fun making them yourself. If you just want to know what our compendium predictions are so you can just go on your merry way and get your happy fantasy points, we will upload some pictures on Twitter, and we'll have them in the video description below on YouTube as well, so you can just check those. You don't have to listen to us talk for half an hour.
Yeah, but if you do want to get some insight how we got to the picks, etc., that's what we're going to do now. So for every answer, we're going to give a bunch of possibilities and then what we went for, so you can decide amongst those. Obviously, like disclaimer, they might not all be right, they might all be wrong, but
9 out of 40?
Yeah, 9 out of 40 was pretty bad. We've done a lot better than that, so if we improve on Manila.
There you go.
Okay, and yeah, just final disclaimer is just TI is always really close. Things always change. It's a big event. It always has its own meta, especially now that we're at like the late stage of the patch. 6.88's been out for a while. We saw it at the Manila Major. There's probably going to be some changes. Teams are going to have some cunning strategies coming in here. So don't just say, oh, whatever was that Manila is going to be the truth.
Some cunning stunts.
Yeah, cunning stunts.
We will try to give you, in each of our prediction categories, we're going to try to give you sort of a level of confidence that we have so you can get a feel for which ones we think are kind of in the bag and which ones are extremely risky. So we'll be talking about that. But without further ado, let's get going.
Yeah, the color at the top in the box represents how sure or unsure we are. So this is the yellow. Means that we're unsure, but a couple of points here.
Yeah.
Be sure. Okay.
So most picked, I generally like to go for a support or an offlaner in this category. Those are going to be the most contested heroes in the last couple of metas, and certainly held true in this one. I like the Shadow Demon here as far as most picked. I think Void is going to be banned a lot, especially against the Chinese teams in this tournament. Disruptor, of course, was the most picked at Manila. I don't know that I'm going to go in this direction. I think he's been started to fall off a little bit in terms of picks, but for what it's worth, I think that's a decent pick as well.
Yeah, so the two tables that you can see here, first of all, the one at the top has all heroes this patch across all teams. So it's a pretty big sample, but we do know there's been sub-patches, been small changes to the meta. And the second table, which is a little bit better at telling you what's happening, is just the 16 teams this patch, but no data emphasis, no recent emphasis. So as a result, Shadow Demon and Faceless Void, the most picked heroes in the last 3 big lands, which are Starladder, Nanyang, and the Summit 5. And yeah, I agree with Nahaz. Shadow Demon, very strong, especially in a duo like Mirana, can be very strong aggressively. In a tri-lane, very strong defensively.
Yeah, and that's another, it's worth mentioning, of course, for those that aren't following the meta and the patch notes closely, that was one of the big changes that was made relatively recently, was to the duration of Shadow Demon's illusions off of Disruption. And since then, you've seen him comboed with a lot of heroes like Alchemist, Luna, Terrorblade.
Centaur, I mean, if you saw the Alliance Centaur stuff. And yeah, Faceless Void is also versatile, can be an offlaner and can be a safe laner.
So bans, I think I am actually tempted to go with the Elder Titan here. Ricky is a very good pick, but I would definitely go with one of those two. I'm tempted to go with the Elder Titan because of what we saw at Starladder, where Secret was able to, in a couple of games, use the Elder Titan very effectively in kind of D-push oriented strategies.
Yeah.
I still think one of those two heroes is kind of very, very likely. There's an outside chance you might see somebody unexpected, like maybe Darkseer, slip in there, but I wouldn't bet on that.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with Ricky, but for picks, I think I'm going to stay with Faceless Void. So,
okay.
Let's head across. Next part of heroes is all of the categories with 5 or more appearances.
Right.
So that in itself is a very limiting factor because we don't expect to see. We'll see a lot of heroes pick 5 or more times, but it becomes harder to predict the ones that's going to have the best stats each one of these categories,
Right.
because if it's picked more than 5 times, it's probably not going 5 and 0.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for all of these categories that I'll say is you generally want a hero that is all but certain to be picked 5 or more times, but you don't necessarily want a hero that's going to be picked too much, because there tends to be a lot of regression to the mean, especially as the tournament goes on. Whereas a hero that's more of a niche pick can win or go crazy and getting a bunch of kills in a couple games early on, and then not be picked much in the more competitive games later in the tournament. So highest win rate, I'm usually tempted to go for a niche pick. I think I originally went with Keeper of the Light here, although I know you're going to go with Nyx.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a very good pick. But the point is, you don't necessarily want to go like too meta-y here. You want to go pocket strat kind of heroes.
Huskar's a very solid pick.
Huskar's not bad. The problem is you don't necessarily want to go with like your Meepos and Huskars either, because they tend to either be feast or famine, right? And I don't necessarily know. I think a lot of heroes will bait picks like a lot of teams will bait picks like that. You're not necessarily gonna bait a Nyx assassin pick in the way that you might pick a Brood Mother.
Yeah. So the thing with win rates is also you don't necessarily want a hero which is only going to be picked 6 or 7 times.
Well,
because then one loss is very, very
right.
significant.
So that's the other problem, right? Is if you looked at Manila, everybody would have talked about Lifestealer, right? It was actually Enigma that ended up finishing
like
at Manila, and it was 5-1, right? So that's what I mean about. I think you want to pick a hero that you think is situationally very strong, but isn't necessarily too much. Highest kill average.
Yeah, this is a risky one because we picked 5. So Tiny, for example, we picked 9 games out of the 590 games this patch in pro tournaments, that is, and it's had a really, really high average, 8.46. Right. But is it going to be picked 5 times in the plus minus 140, 150 games we see?
Yeah, and that's another thing that we probably should have mentioned overall for this category is that TI6 is a much longer tournament than Manila. This also, because it also includes a full round robin group stage, best of 2 group stage, rather than GSL. So if you do the math, it's going to be somewhere like 70% more games played at TI6 than Manila, somewhere around there.
It's
not quite double.
Manila was 99.
Right.
Here it's going to be 112 during the group stage.
Right, during the group stage only.
And then it's going to be about the same as Manila in later on.
Right.
So it's about 160, and in the wild cards.
Right.
So
it's going to be, and we're not sure whether wild cards count for these. Are we?
I'm not sure at all.
Okay, all right.
But
so
170, 180.
Regardless, some of the debate when we talk a little bit later on is going to be, especially like Naga Siren, is going to be about how sure are we that this hero will be picked in 5 or more games. And my only point here is that the threshold for that, a hero is more likely to be picked 5 or more times here than at Manila, simply by virtue of there being 70% more games.
Yeah. So I think Ursa.
I'd go Ursa.
Is a very solid hero. And one big note is I think Slark is also an outlier, because you can see we got a table here sorted by average kills from the patch, and Slark is at the bottom of that table, 8.16, but it's definitely going to be picked more than 5 times.
Right. Slark is one of those heroes. TA is another one. We'll talk about this when we talk about players, but I always think about like QO. And he's going to rack up a bunch of kills, and I think about his heroes. But Ursa's a hero that Secret showed at Starladder, and they had a lot of success with that hero because it's a hero that can be a little bit underfarmed and still do its job, still gets kills, it still takes Roche. And that's another thing about Ursa, it still tends to get a decent amount of kills even in losses. Yeah. So I like that as a pick here.
Also, Navi and Liquid are both considered probably top half of the group. They're going to be picking it maybe a couple of times each. Next one, highest assist, table at the bottom. Probably not going to be seeing 5 silencer games.
We may. Silencer is not. No, we will not be picking silencer, but I think some other teams will. I still don't necessarily like silencer. I usually, for highest assist average, I usually like to go with an offlaner. I like to go with my Darkseer here. Bounty Hunter is not a bad pick.
Remember, Bounty Hunter also counts because track track counts as an assist.
That was one of the things, and that's it's also a discussion that we'll have for players because I think we're both going Seneko in that category, and that's you do get assists now just from placing buffs or debuffs. You don't have to do damage anymore, so Bounty's a much better pick in this category.
Yeah, Elder Titan is also the hero that's listed on the side there because he's definitely going to be picked enough.
Yep.
And
he does get a lot of assists just to the spirit and stomp.
Yeah, it's also very good in like you were saying. Even in losses, Ursa gets a lot of kills.
Mm-hmm.
Even in losses, Elder Titan generally gets a lot of assists, defending high ground, pushing back waves.
And he also tends to be Elder Titan also tends to be picked by teams that that like longer games.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. So I think Elder Titan is a good pick. I like to default back to my old Darkseer pick. Yeah, I think this is a category I think that's a little bit harder.
Zeus also was like one of the de factos along with Spectre, but neither of them I think is like definitely going to get more than 5 games.
That's another thing that
certainly not Zeus.
Right. Well, I don't know.
Unless the team has got like a specific strategy.
That's another thing that you have to kind of decide whether you're willing to take the risk that the hero won't get picked 5 times. And I think with Zeus that is a very real concern. Lowest death average, I just like to go with Morphling in this category because I think it's going to get picked 5 times for sure. I don't think it'll get picked too many times, and I think it's almost always going to be run in the carry position, and it has a bunch of built-in escapes. Like Weaver, I also like what you have here, but Weaver does tend to be run in the off-lane role a bit, and those games are higher average death. Yeah,
also Weaver possibly won't be picked 5 times. I think it's likely that he will.
It'll definitely be picked 5 times.
I mean, some teams might have just said there's too many good counters to Weaver at the moment, so we're just not going to pick it. Lots of control, and Weaver generally needs an okay laning stage, or at least some way for the other 4 players in his team to create space at some point in the game. Either he fights early or he farms early, and if he fights early, he needs a good laning stage. If he farms early, he needs 4 other people in his team running around making kills. So something that necessarily sets him up to have a low number of deaths. Whereas Morphling almost always going to farm for that first big item, whether it's F-Blade or Lincoln's F-Blade, something like that.
So highest last hit average, I almost always go with Naga Siren in this category. If it's again, we'll talk about the sort of 1 game categories in a bit. Those are a little bit different, but for Naga, I think this is almost. I mean, it's almost trivial. Like if you have 5 Naga picks, which I think there will be, I don't think you're going to see a lot of support Naga at this tournament. You have Newbie with KP alone picking Naga Siren here and there, and I think it's a NB Naga Siren. It's a hero that's just always going to get a ton of CS.
Yeah, the only way in which this won't happen is if someone picks him and plays him mid, and they get crushed in the laning stage.
True.
So Morphling also pretty decent because he's like 90% of the time he's played in a carry role.
Ember is like a good pick if you're talking about single game records, but I feel like Ember gets run mid and cracked on in a few too many games. It hurts his average.
Yeah, Anti-Mage also maybe okay.
Yep. Anti-Mage is alright. Again, I think it's just a little bit too easy for an AM to get shut down early and never really come into the game.
Yeah.
Highest GPM, I think this is like of all the compendium categories, this is probably maybe the easiest to pick. Alchemist is almost always going to be in this category. He typically at these large lands has like the 10 highest GPM games as an individual hero, so he's almost always going to be.
Yeah, I think if you don't go Alchemist there's almost nothing that like jumps out as a second.
I mean,
it could be any one of the
if we see Shadow Fiend make a surprise return to the meta, AM maybe, but I don't see anything that's it's a clear alternative to the Alchemist.
Yeah. Like even in losing games, Alchemist is a high GPM.
Right.
Okay, so this is the last 2 of heroes.
So here's where we also need to make a little bit of a distinction. When we're talking about averages, you want a hero that is picked a lot, but not too much, because that regression to the mean. When you talk about most in a single game, I actually like heroes that are going to be picked a lot, because I want to have a lot of chances. For most kills in the game, I'm going to go with Slark here, because I think Huo is going to play a bunch of Slark. I think there are other players in this tournament that are going to play a bunch of Slark and are likely to just go ham and get a bunch of kills.
Yeah.
there are a number of examples, but I think we're going to see enough Slark games where Slark runs around the map picking off heroes that I think he's likely to set this record.
Also, what's nice about Slark is if Slark starts making a lot of kills, you're in trouble as a team.
Right.
But the game's not over because Slark himself can't necessarily push siege high ground,
Right.
take towers, and that's one of the key things is being able to defend against. Like Juggernaut also makes lots of kills, but if you have a Medusa that's got 20 kills, game's almost over because he's just gonna have 6 items, be in the front line. You always think you have a chance against the Slark.
Because he can't necessarily make the high ground push happen
Exactly.
by himself. The most last hits in the game, same theory. I'm very much on board with the Ember Spirit pick here, just because if you look at the Major Lands past, Ember Spirit's almost always the hero. He tends to be involved in these like crazy 90-minute games because the team that has the Ember Spirit almost always feels like they have a late game advantage. And Ember is a very good hero at defending high ground and wave clearing himself.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see, of all the heroes that tend to participate in long games, I like Ember's ability to get into those long games and always have at least a decent amount of farm if the game goes past a certain point.
2 other things. First of all, he also likes clearing stacks.
Yep.
Especially the less significant jungle stacks, he farms them very efficiently. Especially once he gets Battle Fury up. And the other thing is he's also very mobile.
Yeah.
So he's almost always at a place where he can farm because of his ulti. He's able to get out of sticky situations.
Yeah, and I like that. I like the fact that in a lot of games, what you'll see the bot's first build on Ember has become the gold standard, and you'll see an Ember with remnants all over the map. You'll see an Ember actually able to clear lanes in his own base and then go push lanes with his team in these long games. So he's actually getting a lot more farm than a number of other heroes that would have to be with their team or pushing solo.
Yeah, I think I went with Slark, and also I think I went with Naga for the last hits because it's going to get a couple of rolls.
Again, Naga I think is a great pick for average, but I don't think you're going to get nearly as many chances with Naga as you will with Ember. That's my theory here. All right, moving on.
Oh, this is just a summary.
So this is the summary,
This is what I have. You have something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think you have some stuff that's different.
Oh, I have it. Yeah, you changed some of these, I think, because I have a lot of these that are different, but we're very similar. I think I am ready to go with you on Nick's here. I will post both of our sets of picks individually. I think these are very reasonable. Like I said, I went with Shadow Demon for my most pick. I'm going to go ahead and buck the numbers and go with Elder Titan for my most ban. I think I'm going to go with you with the Knicks. I'm tempted to go with Coddle for highest win rate just because I think it's going to be an interesting little niche pick. Slark I think is decent. I'm going to go with Ursa for highest kill average. Highest assist average. I like to go with Darkseid there. Bounty Hunter is a really good pick, though. I think I'm going to probably go with you there. All right.
Okay, and the rest have just been
the rest
very recent.
Yeah.
Okay. So teams. Let's talk about teams. These are 2 sets of odds that are retrieved about 36 hours ago.
Yeah.
Off 2 legal betting sites. As in registered, but you have to do all the legal work if you want to bet off them.
So I'm getting 300 to 1 odds. Huh?
Yeah.
That's what you're telling me.
Well, sorry, man. I don't condone or promote betting. I'm just using this for scientific research.
In my own compendium, I am going with complexity in this category because guess what?
Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
You're delusional.
Hey, I gotta believe in my guys. No, I think the odds-on favorite here is obviously OG.
Yeah.
I think that of all the teams in the tournament, they're very much the safe pick. Wings, I think, is a very good team. A lot of people are going to pick them to win, but I think they're very high variance.
I think that putting them at 5-1 is a bit insane, though. I don't know if they can. I don't think they can beat everyone.
I think Wings are really, really good, and I think that the way that they play, they have the potential to make a lot of top teams look very bad. But I also think that they're going to lose to more teams in maybe the second or third tier than some of the other teams on the one line will.
So remember that TI is also a marathon.
Yes.
Like the group stage is much, much longer, and that's always going to hurt a team that is high variance. More chances to slip up.
Right.
So yeah, the general trends that you can see out of this is that all of the wildcard teams, except for Eon, are right near the bottom, along with TNC. And also, I think OG and Liquid everyone kind of assumes at the top, newbie as well.
Yeah.
Wings are up and down. The odds, bookies put Secret in 4th or 5th place.
Yeah, that's yeah.
is a little bit weird. I don't know if that's just like fan logic speaking.
I think that's absolutely insane, even though I love those guys. But hey,
Yeah.
the main point is OG is the safe bet. I would have no problem picking Liquid or Newbie. I think that those are both very respectable picks. Wings is very risky, although they're very good. I think to straight up call any other team winning the tournament at this point is it's just very risky.
Yeah. Okay, so
there you go. Most kills in the game. I think MVP. The only issue that you would take with MVP is that they don't tend to play a whole lot of very long games. All right, and again, when you're talking about most kills in a single, most X in a
you
single
want like
game,
a 40-45 minute average.
Yeah, you want a team that
20.
tends to play a lot of long games to give you a lot of chances. But MVP, they actually did have a couple of extremely long. I think they played in 3 60-plus minute games in
One
Villa,
was
which is shocking.
So the big problem with this type, the whole team predictions, is one game can like destroy us.
Right.
Like we saw that Navi Tinker versus MVP?
Again, it's just so the graphic is a little misleading, right? Because you say, okay, it's bright red, right?
Yeah.
Team with most kills in the game, it's like, who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one game. When you're talking about highest kill average, that's a lot easier to predict.
Exactly.
Because there you want a team that's going to be aggressive, but is also going to play in a long game. Like at Manila, LGD had almost 27 kills per game average, and that was like first by a mile.
Yeah.
MVP was only, I think, 25.6, and they were in second place. But again, when you talk about most kills in a single game, I think MVP, they are one of the only teams in the field that they will play a 60, 70-minute game, and they'll just keep racking up kills, because that's what they do.
Everyone else's kill average kind of peters off, whereas theirs carries on almost linearly.
Right.
I think Navi is also in like a similar category. They don't like stop and say, okay, we need to just relax a bit and farm. They try to carry on making kills.
For the statistically inclined, the technical way to say what we're saying is that game length and kills per minute tend to be negatively correlated.
Yeah, after a point.
Certainly past a certain point. And so you want, with highest kill average, you want to pick a team generally that's playing long games consistently. Fewest deaths in a game, you just want a team that tends to roll over people and against whom opponents are going to tend to call GG fairly early on. Yeah. I think Newbie and Liquid are the two best picks in this category.
Yeah, I think that's like without a doubt. Newbie have done shutouts before.
Right.
They just solid all-round players.
Oh, highest kill average. I guess what we didn't talk about the other reasonable picks in that category would probably be like OG.
Yeah, OG's fine.
Yeah.
You want? I mean, Secret is also not bad there because they play generally longer games.
Yeah, but
they make a lot of kills.
They rat too much. Man.
But yeah, that's the problem. Is sometimes they draft a strategy which aims to win early, and if it doesn't work out, they pull an alliance from TI3 on the card, and they just try to stall the game. Not just stall the game as in terms of like gold and XP momentum. They just start like avoiding fights, like running away. Like someone dies, they don't commit, even though it looks favorable. They run away.
Right.
So ultra conservative.
Most assists in a game. This is one of the only ones where your choice in this category is not in my top 3. I still like MVP in this category because I think if they play a 60-plus minute game in this tournament, they're almost a lock to get number 1 in assists because the way they play, they are going to be 5-man killing around the map even at that point.
So the reason Alliance I think is good here is that Bulldog is very active, so he's always in a fight, and that means your kills on average have one more player there, and S4 runs around like a madman making kills. Loader's a very active carry. AK and EGM are both active supports.
I just don't necessarily. Again, Alliance has a tendency to play a lot of rat.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna play some long games for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily in long games expect them to keep getting a lot of kills.
Newbie is also very solid in this.
Yeah,
position.
Newbie's a great.
Newbie around 3 months ago when they first started their beginning of their second life, started having the highest average kill participation.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's why my top 3 in this category would be MVP, Newbie, and LGD.
It's also notable that if you have predictions,
OG's not terrible.
If you have predictions which are related in this category, like team with the most kills in a game and highest kill average is in some way related, it is also a good idea to try hedge. because this is such a high variance area. You don't want to go all in on one team or two teams.
Agreed.
So if you have more than three in any category here of the same team, consider maybe changing it up a bit.
So, team that wins the longest game, you and I are in agreement. I think LGD is a really good call. They, I believe, have the longest average match time at Vanilla. I think OG is okay. They do tend to play a lot of long games as well.
But group stage is also a lot a lot longer than Manila, and
so
probably gonna have a couple of crashes there.
That's also alright. That's actually also something that we need to talk about here, because when we're talking about kill average, assist average, we got a lot of these wrong at Manila, and part of the reason that I missed a lot of these at Manila was because it turned out that when you looked at, as well as the player predictions, by the way, it turned out that when you looked at highest kill average, highest assist average, it was actually a really good play, because of how that tournament was structured, to go with a team that was going to stomp during groups and then kind of flame out early in the tournament.
Like
so,
DC?
Like DC or Navi ended up being pretty good picks there. Because what happens is, again, the same regression to the mean phenomenon, whereas the tournament goes on, the matches get closer, and you tend to get less extreme results. Whereas early on, like Navi racked up a ton of kills, a ton of assists, MVP, same thing in the group stages, and then because they lost pretty quickly in the main event, they didn't necessarily have a chance to get those averages dragged down. This is not going to happen at TI, right? Most of the games every team is going to play at least 14 games in that group stage, and then at least one more game on the main stage.
Yeah, so 15 games, much longer than. I mean, some teams went out in 5 games.
Yes,
they lost 2-0, 2-0, and then best of 1.
I think actually that there were 2 teams that only played 6 games at Manila, and 1 team that only played 7. Those were the 3. But again, every team at this tournament is guaranteed to play twice that many games at least.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing to take away from this.
No, 3 times. Like 3 times the minimum is upgraded. Like theoretically.
Oh, 3 times.
Yeah.
So, but the big point I'm trying to make here is at Manila, it was actually a play here to pick like very, very good second tier teams that were going to go ham in their group, but wouldn't necessarily go too deep in the tournament. I actually think you want to pick really good teams here. Is what I'm trying to say in most of these categories. You want to pick teams. Most of these, the good ones anyway, should probably be teams that you have at least in your top 8, if not in your top 6.
Yeah.
All right.
Or they just happen to have something very unique about them.
Sure, fair enough. Wins the shortest game again. I think this is one.
This is correlated to
fewest Destiny game, shortest game. I think it's Newbie or Liquid. I guess you could say OG may stop somebody. Wings is a decent pick here, but this is going to be,
and also
this is going to be a very good team that plays fast.
A bunch of these predictions might change based on the group.
Yes, that's the other thing.
Be sure to check out Twitter if we make any updates or anything.
We will do that.
Yeah, if there's a group that's got clearly 2 weak teams in it, that might be the play.
Team with the highest game length average, you're going with Alliance again. I'm gonna go with LGD.
Yeah, I just think that Alliance there's gonna be a couple of games that should go along for them, and that's all it takes.
I think Alliance is gonna have some games that go against them and gonna GG out early, but that's all right. Team that picks the most different. These last couple I think we're both in agreement about. Team that picks the most different heroes, I think it's Wings all day. I don't think it's particularly close. And team that picks the fewest different heroes, I actually think it's TNC.
There's something like Wings picked 18 different heroes in like 4 games.
Yeah,
exactly. And that was like
routinely.
That's like very common.
Right.
And TNC. So the reason that we didn't go for any of the wildcard teams is because
there's a risk they might not be in.
Yeah, there's like, even if you think that, like, let's say eHome you think is a 75% chance of getting through, and let's say you think Execration's 25%, and you put Escape and Complexity at 50-50, like, that means that you still think that eHome has to do like an extra 33% better than TNC or any other alternative, and that's like a really just risky proposition. So
no, the big thing here is you may very well be right going for the wild card, but it's kind of like the same discussion earlier of, how much of a risk are you willing to take that hero isn't going to be picked 5 times. It is a very, very, any of the 4 wild card teams, I'm sorry to say, have a very real chance of not playing 10 games.
I mean, that's the thing is, I think it's going to be very okay. So the wild card teams can't play 10 games.
Right.
In the wild cards.
You cannot. You cannot
only play 9 games.
Right. So this has to be a team that at least makes the group phase.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to pick what I feel is the weakest team that's guaranteed to play in the main event.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Players. I think we differ a little bit on these, but it's not too bad. Player with the highest kill average. I'm still going to go with QO in this category, although Miracle would be not my number 2.
Yeah, I think Miracle has like the highest patch average for kills, and he's
I'm
on a strong team. The team's definitely going to do well, and that is very important.
I would. So in fact, I'm actually still. I may change this to go with Miracle because I am very tempted to go with most kills in a game for QO. Maybe is also a very strong pick here as well.
Yeah.
Just because LGD maybe gets a lot of kills with the way he plays, and LGD tends to play in very long games.
So the only reason I didn't put like maybe for both or Miracle for both is to hedge.
Yeah.
It's like it might go the other way around. I'm okay with that like eventuality, but yeah, one Miracle, one maybe seems insane for me.
Yeah.
Miracle also has like by far the lowest death
average. I think Miracle for lowest death average is definitely the odds-on favorite. I'm on board with Seneko for highest assist average. I think Mind Control is a decent pick here. I think Kaka is an okay pick. I am with highest assist average before the change to assist mechanics. I would generally always go with offlaners here because in a game. 4 position players, they're supports, right? And supports, when the team loses, tend to have very low numbers. Their numbers tend to vary with the team's wins and losses a lot more than core position players.
Yeah, so this was team fight participation. It would definitely be a support.
Right.
But
I tend to go with offliners here, and Mind Control would be my pick in
there's
that
a lot of dogs
category.
here, which is also what you put as the highest assist average hero.
Exactly, because again, my offlaners are still going to have offlaners on good teams are still going to have decent assist numbers even when the team loses.
Yeah.
But Seneko, especially with the recent changes to track, I think is a decent pick here as well. I would not go with KP here because he tends to play like the occasional Naga game where he's farming a lot. Wouldn't necessarily go with Moon here because he's a little bit higher variance I think than Mind Control. Player with the most assists in the game, Chuan is a decent choice. I'd actually be tempted to go with Kaka, but again, whenever you talk with most X in a game, those are much harder to project than averages.
So Seneko also, one thing is like he also doesn't necessarily take kills.
Yes.
Whereas some of the other support, some of the offlaners get kill priority. Like if they could decide who's going to get the kill, and Miracle's not around and Big Daddy's not around, it's going to be Moon.
And the Chinese teams will actually sometimes intentionally give kills to their supports.
Exactly.
Right. And this has been true for several years now. Those teams are much more likely to put farm on their supports.
Yeah. I mean, I think that does counts a little bit against Chuan, but not enough. Not as much as like. For example, Navi.
And I think
kills away from Sneaker.
Febi is still a very good choice here as well. But you do need to think about. So did September get his visa?
No,
he's not. Nah, September's not.
It's Yang who's maybe.
Oh, Yang is still maybe coming.
Yeah, Yang is the one who, if they can get the passport, the visa, they got the visa.
Oh, okay. Wasn't playing scrims today.
Yeah.
Oh well. Player with the highest last hit average. I'm actually not sure about that. Arteezy's okay. Envy is okay in this category. Although, Secret will probably lose a bit too much.
The thing is, Envy's playing mostly mid at the moment. And this is normally a safe laner.
Yeah. Although he is playing mostly mid. They have been switching back and forth depending on hero picks.
Yeah, it's like 75-25. And Envy does play like some things like Ember.
I think maybe's the odds-on favorite here. You couldn't argue with Miracle. Wouldn't pick Matumbaman or Fata here.
I wouldn't even
Liquid
pick Big Daddy either.
Yeah, definitely not pick Big Daddy. They play him on a little bit. Play him on do shit here a little too often.
Yeah.
Maybe's probably the pick. Yeah. I guess you could start talking about how. I guess. But they probably play a few short games.
The other thing is also maybe get active very quick.
Exactly.
Just want to go run around, fight people.
Exactly.
Okay, so Eternal Envy, I put for last hits.
I'm
Same
with
thing.
you. Yeah.
This could be maybe I wanted to just go for two different people.
Yeah, but you want a player here. You want a player that's going to play a lot of Core Naga, Core Ember heroes that tend to get a lot of CS and tend to be in a lot of long games.
Could be Arteezy as well.
Not a bad Arteezy play here. Moo, I think this is actually a layup. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty about this category, but I do think he's probabilistically the best pick simply because he's going to get a lot of Alchemist games in.
Yeah, he plays Alchemist mid, and I think it's
to the point where actually I am going for him in both of these categories. I realize it violates the hedging principle that we've espoused throughout these slides, but I think Moo tends to play a bit more Alchemist than any of the other players on the top teams.
Yeah.
And the other thing
the thing is, he also goes for the farming build, whereas Miracle goes for fighting build.
Miracle will occasionally, but it's mostly the battle build, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so highest GPM average. This could be Arteezy, could be.
I'll still go with
Matumbaman
because I'll still go with the Alchemist effect.
And player that plays the most different heroes.
Yeah, I think this is Kuro all day.
I think Kuro is a very solid person here. If Fear were playing support, I think he would be a solid person in this role. If not Kuro, who's it going to be? So, in the past, historically, the Chinese teams have both played all heroes.
I guess you could pick Essence if you wanted to.
I think that's a bit risky.
It's hard to think about which of the individual Wings players that I'd go for.
So just one note is that the Chinese teams have historically always both played the same hero.
Right.
Like Chuan is with every person he's supported with, whether it's Faith or whether it's.
You're saying that the support the support hero pools tend to be much more clearly differentiated between the Chinese support pairs.
Oh no, for the Chinese it's very overlapped. For the Western it's always distinct.
Oh no, that's much less true now.
It's much less true now than it used to be.
Fair enough.
But it's especially true on something like Liquid. For example, Kuraki has played the most.
Kuro is always their Night Stalker player, etc.
That's true, but he's also he's played the most games with Rubik. But when they pick a Rubik, it's not definitely for him.
Right.
Sometimes it goes across onto the Euros.
So at the end of the day, what we're gonna say, Kuro has been also experimenting with a lot of different 5 heroes. He's played 5-role Pudge, 5-role Clockwork. And the reason that the differentiation of the hero pools across the 2 support pairings makes a difference is, of course, because a team can pick few individual heroes, but you get credit that same player might sometimes play one or the other, and that naturally just builds up the number of different heroes.
And also, a team is less likely to change a huge amount of their draft, so it's more a question of when they change their draft, which roles and which positions are changing a lot.
Alright.
So I think that Kuro's naturally gonna. I'm being willing to bet that he's gonna be in top 5, most unique.
Yeah, I would even. Yeah, I'd even bet top 3. Tournament. Okay, number of total games played. This is a little bit tricky. So it has been confirmed the lower bracket first round will be best of ones. So at the main event, and this is main event only, there will be 4 best of 1 series, 1 best of 5 series, and 17 best of 3s. If you assume that it's 50-50, whether a best of 3 series goes 2 games or 3 games, the expected number of games in the main event is exactly 50.5.
Yeah.
So it falls.
No. Well, that's also assuming the grand finals keeps the tradition of
going 4 games. That's true. Yeah. That's true. We gave the grand finals an immediate 4 games just because that's always been the case. Regardless, it's right in between. If you look last year, so Manila, I believe, was exactly 50 games.
It was 49 in the groups and 50 in the main event.
And 50 in the main event. And the main event was the same format as Manila. And if you look back, actually last year at TI5, of the 17 best of 3 series, I believe 11 of them were 2-0 and 6 of them were 2-1. So I actually think that's a trend that's going to continue this year. I think there's a fairly clearly differentiated, at least top 3, if not probably top 4 in the field. And I think a lot of, especially the winners bracket series, those early winners bracket series,
first
are
round of
likely
winners
to
brackets
be
will probably
lopsided.
be first round of winners bracket will probably all be like 3 2-0s and a 2-1.
Yeah.
So and then the second round will be like 1 2-0 and 1 2-1 or 2 2-1s.
So regardless, the way that this works is the farther you believe the individual game win probabilities are from 50-50, the fewer expected games will be played. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and pick a little bit less than the 50.5 expected value. I'll pick 48 to 50.
Yeah, I'll go with the same, but also bear in mind if you think that the tournament's going to be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to be 50-50 games between 2-0 and 2-1, then you should go for the 1 category out.
Right.
The next 2 we both agree, I think.
Oh yeah.
91 to 100.
It was 96 at Manila, and again, same. This is total number of heroes picked in the entire tournament.
Yeah.
There are 106 if you don't count Arc Warden.
I think it's more like 108.
108. Okay.
But I don't think people we're actually joking in the car about Bloodseeker. Like Bloodseeker's a good hero, could get picked. But will it get picked? Like, will a team have practiced it?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
No, I actually, I think 100 plus is not horrible, but I think 91 to 100 is safer. I think it's like 60-40, 70-30.
I think it's like 70% that it's in this category, 20% that it's 100 plus, and 10% that it's less than 90.
I
Not
think
too less.
no, I would actually.
You think it's?
I think it's less than 10%. I actually think it's less than 5%. That fewer than 90 or 30 players are picked. But whatever. Total number ban. Again, I'm going to go with 81 and 90. I'm a little bit less confident in that selection. It may be over 90, but again, you keep in mind, Bloodseeker is probably going to be picked at some point in the tournament.
Oh my God, Curtis.
But Bloodseeker is interesting, but there is absolutely no way that he's
going to get banned. And Tree is also like.
Tree will be picked at some point.
It's a hero which is situational and might be picked.
Right, but you're never going to ban it.
Teams are not going to ban it.
Right. Most combined total kills in a game. I think again, my strategy for Manila was I tended to bet a little bit on the high side. I think the highest 2 categories for this are 100 to 110 and 110 plus. Is that right?
Yeah. Right.
So I'm actually tempted to just go for the highest. I don't mind either of the 2 highest categories here. You have, I think,
the third highest. Yeah.
Which is fine. The only other thing to keep in mind, again, is this is a longer tournament than Manila.
Yes.
So you are more likely to see higher numbers here. So I'm actually, for example, in the next category, I'm going to actually go ahead and go 100 minutes plus.
Yeah, I'm tempted to do that, but I recently looked at the distribution of game length.
Right.
And there's been no games that's patched more than 100 minutes.
Okay.
No games.
Okay.
So
you're gonna go with.
I mean, what you're saying is basically that this tournament's gonna be long, but on top of that, this tournament's also gonna be very close.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some games which are close.
And
also
I think
you're fighting for. Also think about how they redistributed the prize pool. Winning one more game means a shitload more money.
Like the prize pool, the tiered payout structure this year is insane. 44% of the prize pool to first place. What was it like? Like 38? Yes, yeah, it was like 36 or 38 last year. It is the differentials, the amounts of money at stake in each individual series as you get to the later rounds are insane. And I do think teams are going to hold on until the bitter end in every game once we get to the main event.
I mean that works for you. So
now 90 to 99 is probably statistically the best pick, but I just have a gut. 100.
Based on historic games, it is the best pick. But
fair enough. 10 to 15, I think, is the right pick in terms of shortest game.
Yeah, there's been like only like a very like it's less than 1% of all games have been shorter.
Yeah.
Like it's smaller than that. Most of the games that are shorter than this are replays. Like back when Source One, when you could resume games like save load.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of the games that are shorter than this period
are actually replay snippets.
Are resume. Yeah, the resume snippets.
Yeah. I think that's that's almost a lock. I am going to definitely go with the high number here in terms of most kills by hero in a game. Again, there's just a lot of chances, and 26 kills when you're starting to talk about whoa, hey.
Sorry.
You're
so I'm just going back to here.
Okay.
You can see that this patch has been 5 times when someone's got 26 or more kills.
Yeah, 5 times in like 500 games.
590 programs.
Yeah, and again, I expect the average match length, especially at the main event, I expect the average match length to be quite a bit longer than the average in the entire patch. Most of us, I think 15 to 17 is reasonable, just because this is where, unless it's this will almost certainly be on a support, and even when it's on a support, when you start seeing those big death numbers, the game tends to be over.
Yeah, I mean, Bone 7's not here, so...
Woo!
But I'm sure someone's going to get 15 to 17.
Yeah.
I think this is also saying, like, this is such a hard one because of the varying game length.
Yeah, I think higher numbers are not a bad pick here either. But I do think 15 to 17 is the best pick. Again, I think 36 plus is actually, I think one of the top 2 categories for most assists is kind of a layup.
Yeah.
Honestly, and highest GPA. This is like the easiest category in the entire compendium. This will be by an Alchemist, and I believe an Alchemist broke 1k GPM in the first game in which the hero was played.
Ben-Hur.
So,
probably
yeah.
Ben-Hur.
I think
no Mineski here.
It was like Moo broke it the first time he played the hero in the tournament.
Yeah, so, I mean, we saw there in the Manila Major like 1150 GPM.
Right. So this is 1,000 plus, and it's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's actually the easiest prediction of the entire.
It's either
of the whole
or Alchemist for highest average GPM. But again, because you could see some crazy shit like Naga being picked 5 times. I don't know. But it'll be 1,000 plus GPM in this tournament, or I'll never make another video.
Oh, I was gonna say, you have to do 10 press ups.
What's a press up?
Push up. Something.
Okay, yeah, sure. Wow, Europeans, Kappa.
I'm not European.
I know, you're European now. All right, well, guys, there's our predictions. Thanks for listening. Cheers, my friend.
Yep.
And we will see you at TI.
I need to now press stop recording.